everyone. Welcome back to our show. Today, we're diving into one of the most important conversations happening right now within HR in 2026, which is not just AI itself, but more so it's around AI's impact within HR and how it can really help with the organizational and strategic impact for your team. And to help Emma and I break down this entire topic for this conversation, we are joined with Tilt OG, Kim Smith, who is the Employee Success Manager. Kim, thanks for joining us. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to dig in.
Yeah, and being within the HR space yourself, you are going to be a perfect fit for this conversation. So, Kim, let's start with really the reality, like what HR is seeing today on a day-to-day basis. When you look at just your team and just what HR is seeing right now, especially for those handling leave and different complex leave situations, what challenges or things really stand out the most?
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to lead with I am strictly answering based off of my experience here at Tilt and what my reality is. I am on a very lean, mean P&C or HR team of 2 people. So that means between myself and my partner and Janisa, we are the ones managing all of the leaves. I tend to take the driver's seat to managing all of our internal leave of absences. We also are a little over 100 employees at this time, which also means that we have various employees that are taking leaves in all of the states that we have employees sitting right now, as everybody is remote. That being said, that means that there are a couple different leave programs that come into play, and every single state runs their leave program differently. So first and foremost, it's just the knowledge of understanding, okay, when somebody requests a leave of absence, what are they eligible for right off the bat, just based on where they reside across the state. There's also just a lot of the manual tasks that come into play. We do use our own product here at Tilt, which is great. That takes a lot of stress off of myself, off of my team. We're able to house all of that information in a secure space and place. So that's everything from med certs, documents relating to the leave, any updates that we need to make are all kept within Tilt. But we really pride ourselves on doing it right and supporting our people. And so we put a lot of emphasis and attention on supporting leaves right now.
For sure. You touched on some of those challenges that are showing up, like lean team. Oh, sorry, there's my thumbs up for everyone on all the viewers. Lean team, this is a remote workforce. And people are in a lot of different states. So there's a lot of different laws that you need to abide by, to stay compliant. In addition to that, what are some other challenges that show up, and this is a 2-parter, Kim. So
yeah,
here's the second. What is it about traditional processes that makes HR feel stuck in reactive mode?
Ooh. I'm going to say how to respond first and foremost. Somebody is coming to you, or they've shared with their manager, their people leader, what's going on, maybe why they're requesting the leave or why they're inquiring about a leave. And that for me, with my previous even experience before Tilt in leave, that was always the hardest, is how do I respond to this person, whether that's verbally, we're on a call and they're telling me this, or that's via Slack or via email. That was always the most challenging for me. I can do all of the research to figure out these things. I can make the phone calls to figure out, what they're eligible for and what needs to happen. But first and foremost, it's knowing how to respond in those types of situations, meeting that person where they're at. So that empathy that we talk about here at Tilt, but also knowing, okay, this person has inquired about a leave. Let's get down to business and let's start to make sure that we share with them what they're eligible for. That is definitely, I'd say, probably number 1 on my list. And then here at Tilt, we're utilizing a couple different tools, and just the inability for tools to work with each other right now. We're really fortunate that we have a great HRIS system that we utilize. We have Tilt, which we utilize. But for some HR teams, those systems don't talk to each other. And that also can just cause a little bit of delay in going through that leave process.
Well, Kim, and one of those tools also can be AI, in which HR is using to kind of help with their support system, especially with leave and with all the different challenges or pain points in which we've kind of already hit on already. Now, when we look at these challenges that some HR teams might have, whether it's, hey, there's not that many people, or there's so many others within the organization and having to manage all of these leaves, where do you see AI really stepping in to provide immediate value for your team?
Ooh, yes. I'm going to speak again firsthand from my experience. The two that come to mind are getting some support with how to respond. There have definitely been times where I've leaned into like, help me craft a response that's thoughtful, but then also talks about next steps or where our priorities are. I've also utilized AI here at Tilt in understanding like, okay, there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of information that I need to give to this person. I understand that a lot of information can get lost in translation when I'm sharing these things. And so what are like, I'll say to AI, what are the top 3 things that I need to communicate right now in my first initial response back? And it's going to help me craft, a very thoughtful response, but also, lay the foundation of like, okay, you've put your leave request in. Here's what's going to happen next. I've leveraged AI for that more times than I can count. And it's been really, really helpful for myself as well to kind of keep me on track, to make sure that I'm moving through the process quickly, yet, efficiently.
I love the thoughtfulness of understanding this person's on a leave for a variety of reasons, and I need to make sure this like message that I'm sending is extremely consumable. Like they're not going to be overwhelmed when it hits their inbox. They're going to know exactly what's coming through. So I love those 2 examples that you gave of how you can use AI. I think that some people really are still afraid of AI and they have a lot of hesitations around it. So I think it's great that you're able to provide some like really practical, easy examples. From your perspective, or like, I don't know if you have any peers in HR or if you're part of any HR groups, but what concerns do you hear most often from HR leaders about AI in general or adopting AI?
Well, just to like backtrack for a second, that was me. I was the one that was really hesitant to use AI. And it actually took my peer kind of encouraging me and showing me just like in little bite-sized moments of like, hey, here's a really good time that we could like utilize that. You're struggling with this comm. Let's plug it into AI. And sometimes even just like posting your original response and saying like, what else am I missing? And AI will help you like say, hey, this actually looks great. And it'll tell you that. It'll tell you if you have a great comm.
It's very encouraging. I love when AI is giving good feedback. Yeah.
But it also may say like, hey, this comm looks great. You're asking what you may also be missing. Here are 2 additional things maybe for you to consider. So that was definitely me. I just want to say that. As far as the small network that I kind of have found myself in as I've been in this role, feeling replaceable, I think is top of the list. There is that AI is an amazing tool and it can do some really, really neat things. But a common theme is that like, could that replace us as like the HR people or like the people in culture leaders? I've even been blown away by some of the things that AI has helped me and my team build. And I'm like, oh no, like, was that AI's idea or was that our idea? But we always find ourselves arriving back at the same place, which is what we're plugging into AI is still our data. It's still our original ideas and the direction that we want to go. But AI just helps us get there. And that's okay. It's a tool. That's what every other tool that we have here at Tilt or beyond, that's what it's supposed to do. So we all eventually, end up feeling okay and we walk away feeling good about it. But I would say like, yeah, definitely that feeling of feeling replaceable, of that, like this work could get done without someone sitting in that HR or P&C chair.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. One of the few points in which you mentioned there was that your peer showed you like, here's what's possible, and it helped build and improved your relationship with your peer. And that's a huge thing within AI, is that when it's done well, it can improve relationships, whether it's peer-to-peer or whether it's done through a leave of absence. And, it's not something that can jeopardize it. It improves it. So let's stick to this point. From your perspective, Kim, and what you've seen, how do you see this tool really helping HR show up more intentionally for employees, for managers, and even leadership in this case?
Yeah, I'll pull a personal example. Here within Tilt, we focus on our quarterly EMPS, or Employee Net Promoter Score. And previously, my teammate and I would take, a lot of time to comb through those results, identify themes that we felt were coming up, and we were doing that ourselves. So what we were pulling out was what we perceived to be those themes. And where we've really started utilizing some AI support is also having AI pull out some themes, and also helping us create, okay, it's one thing to have the themes, so we know what is being said within the data, but what are the actions that we can do? What is the follow-up that we can give to leaders, or that we can talk to leadership about, and talk to the rest of the org about? So I would say that definitely has been an intentional way, that just like going just a layer deeper of like, okay, you're giving me the themes, wonderful. We know how people are feeling. We know how we're trending. But like, what now? How do we get that EMPS score up, or how do we kind of take it to the next level? It was actually through the support of AI that we ultimately landed and launched Nectar, which is our employee recognition software. So that was something that was made possible by some support with AI, just based on, helping us understand the data that we were looking at.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great example too. Just to double tap on that, if you have any other examples, as how when you now have this additional time, like AI is helping you free up your plate a little bit. Like maybe you guys would have spent twice as much time combing through that data or trying to identify those trends. You said you're gaining clear insights. You were able to adopt a new tool based on that. Are there any other ways that your use of AI has helped you shift kind of like how you are assisting the organizational strategy, kind of going beyond your normal admin work and helping to influence other things?
Yeah. One of the things that we are that I actually created with the support of my team member is a gem. So, kind of teaching AI based on data sets that you're putting into it, what you need it to do, and what you are hoping that you are going to get out of that conversation with the gem. That is a newer project. It's still very much like a work in progress, but that is something that we hope to be able to share out with the rest of the org, where they can actually pull out their teams or department specific EMPS results and say, hey, these are the results from this quarter from my team specifically. Here's also the results from the last quarter. What's changed? What worked? What's going well? Or like, what things that have we implemented that maybe, have helped over the last quarter? What areas do I still need to focus on? So again, like, I feel like we're going even a layer deeper than what I just talked about with like the themes and the action plan. As it relates to leave, since I know like that was, what we were talking about at the top of the call, I've actually plugged in my entire start to finish process and comms of like when I outreach, what information I'm sharing to the chat GPT or, whatever AI tool, and asked it like, hey, these are the touch points I'm doing throughout the leave journey. What do you think about this? And I leave it really open-ended. I just want to see like what it's going to give back to me. And it's actually given me some really good tips and things just to consider of like, hey, you were previously outreaching this person at this time for this step, maybe consider doing it 2 weeks later, and here's why. So it's also just giving me suggestions. That's all they are. I don't need to take them. I can maybe say, hey, nope, I'm going to stick with what I'm doing right now. But I will say that I have adjusted the way that I have based my outreach and some of the comms that I'm saying with some suggestions based off of what AI has given me.
Nice. Like going back to the fact that you are spending less time managing the process because you have tools like Tilt, you have some of this automation, you have some of this AI. How have you seen that improve the interactions that you're able to have with employees while they're experiencing these things?
Absolutely. I would say back to the communication on like, hey, here's the message that I want to send. Here's what's really important for me to share in this communication rather than going back and forth. AI has also helped me anticipate the follow-up question. So when I share my comm, it'll say, okay, this looks good. But as I read through this, the employee may come back and ask this question. So maybe insert this sentence here, so you already answer that question in the comm before they even come back to you. So it almost helps me think like 2 steps ahead. So that information is there. When they receive it, they can read it, they can digest it. And that maybe some of the original questions that they may have had, if I had just shared my comm without using AI, it just lessens the back and forth is what I'm getting at, which is good. You know, when people are on leave, I want them to be able to focus on that. I want to give them the information as best I can in a way that they understand it. I really don't want to have to go back and forth. And honestly, when I do find myself exchanging, you know, any more than like 2 or 3 comms back and forth, I'll just offer usually like, hey, would it be easier to get on a call at this point? Because nobody wants to go back and forth in an email. So it's definitely helped me trim the back and forth between myself and the person on leave quite a bit.
Well, you're giving that person the clarity that they're wanting. Like they don't need, especially depending on what someone's experiencing, they don't need more uncertainty in their life. They don't need more.
Exactly.
You know, they need it to be clear. And I love that you're able to do that, or that you have the thought to say, to add that. You're like, you know what, let's just make this crystal clear. They won't have this follow-up question. I think that's really good use.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when we take a look at the best teams that are adopting AI, what sets them apart? Like, what are they doing well that helps them to build trust and to elevate the employee experience, especially during leave, rather than complicate it?
Mm-hmm. I think going back to that concern that I shared with you all, that has kind of been a topic of conversation in the small like HR community that I'm part of, is to remember that like it is a tool. It is there. It is not, you're not cheating by utilizing AI. I had that whole conversation with my leader previously, like, oh, I feel like this isn't really me if I, you know, pull things from AI. I also, through my own conversations, learned how common it was for other people to utilizing it for their day-to-day. So just remember that like it is a tool, it's there to help you, but do not replace people with that tool. At the end of the day, you still need those ideas to get plugged into AI. You also need people to execute on those ideas. You know, AI can tell you what to do. It can write a whole project plan for you and give you dates and who's going to own what, but you still need people to facilitate that and to pulse the progress of that. And also at the end of the day, report back if the plan that you put in place actually worked. I also will say just continuing to empower that it is, it's still a new tool. While a lot of people have gotten quite comfortable with it, you know, organizations are, you know, saying like, hey, this is part of onboarding. Make sure you download like AI and we're going to give you an instruction on how to use it. I think that's great, but also just continue to remind people like, don't be scared of it. It's great. And that we're still learning a lot about it. So that's the other thing is like, don't take everything that AI says as the end all be all. Still check, you know, the things that you're asking it. If it's giving you, hey, here's a good response to an email, make sure that you don't just copy paste right out and send that off. Make sure you still double check that and make sure that it's good. I use Gemini kind of in my personal life. And at the very bottom in the box, it even says like Gemini makes mistakes too. So like just triple check. So, you know, I was using it for a recipe the other day. I was like, oh, I'll double check this because it's giving me like the right, you know, instructions. Yep. So yeah, that's just a little my perspective on, you know, how the companies that I'm seeing utilize it really well, how they're leaning into that.
Just your advice on how to not make mistakes at work or when you're cooking your dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, I think that we covered it. So thank you so much. That was great.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to end